The November 10th Board of Education organizational meeting is called to order. Present, we have Ms. Rotelli, Ms. Jacobson, Ms. Pitko, Mrs. Gerber, myself, Mrs. Vitale, the superintendent, Mr. Cummings, Mr. Asa, Mrs. Maxicanelli, Mr. Peterson, and Ms. Leeper. I ask you all please rise to the pledge. Ms. Pitko, will you lead us in the pledge? Okay, as you all know, this is our organizational meeting. We are going to elect officers, review next year's calendar, have a quick discussion on liaisons, and initial discussion of the Board of Ed bylaws. But moving forward, election of temporary chair secretary. Then, in accordance with the bylaws, Superintendent Mike Cummings serve as temporary chair secretary during the election of board officers. Can I have a motion? Mrs. Gerber, second. Mr. Peterson, all in favor? Motion carries 9-0. I will leave it to you, Mr. Cummings.
Good evening, everyone. Mike Cummings, Superintendent of Schools. May I have a nomination for board chair, please? Ms. Gerber?
Yes, I would like to nominate Mrs. Vitale for chair.
Is there another nomination for board chair? May I see a show of hands in favor of Ms. Vitale for board chair, please? Ms. Jacobson, Ms. Pitko, Ms. Gerber, Ms. Vitale, Mr. Asa, Ms. Maxicanelli, Mr. Peterson, and Ms. Leeper. So Ms. Vitale is elected board chair. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I'd like to nominate Nick Asa for vice chair.
Mr. Asa, do you accept the nomination for vice chair?
I do.
Is there another nomination for vice chair? Okay, seeing none, may I see a show of hands in favor of Mr. Asa for vice chair, please? Ms. Jacobson, Ms. Gerber, Ms. Vitale, Mr. Asa, Ms. Maxicanelli, Mr. Peterson, and Ms. Leeper. Thank you. So Mr. Asa is elected vice chair. Congratulations. May I have a nomination for secretary, please? Ms. Leeper?
I'd like to nominate Jessica Gerber for secretary.
Ms. Gerber, do you accept the nomination?
Yes, I do.
Is there another nomination for secretary? May I see a show of hands in favor of Ms. Gerber for secretary, please? Ms. Rotelli, Ms. Jacobson, Ms. Pitko, Ms. Gerber, Ms. Vitale, Mr. Asa, Ms. Maxicanelli, Mr. Peterson, and Ms. Leeper. Thank you. Ms. Gerber is elected secretary. Congratulations. And that concludes my temporary assignment as board chair and secretary.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cummings, and thank you to the board for your support during these difficult times. You know, I know that it's been very tense these last 7 months. Actually, even before that, we've been dealing in crisis, but I'm looking forward to the year ahead, and I'm really, I don't want to say excited, but if there's ever 9 people that could get through this together, I think it is us. So thank you, and let's just move on, because our regular meeting is going to start right after this. Discussion of Board of Education bylaws. Does anybody have any recommended or suggestions to altering the bylaws? Mrs. Maxicanelli?
I'm not sure yet. I will be taking a look. This is an issue a few people have brought to my attention. One, the full board received regarding Board of Ed members on social media. And just taking a look at that, I don't know if I'm going to be pursuing it or not, but if I do, I will get language in advance to the board.
Thank you, Mrs. Maxicanelli. Mr. Asa?
I just want to express some interest in supporting some previous comments at previous meetings about potential facilities. If that's something that others on the board would like to see go forward, I'm interested in helping out on bringing forth the language, but I would urge anyone that's interested to, let me know, or if they want to spearhead, I'll be happy to follow up with them.
Mr. Asa, do you foresee that being in addition to the Finance Committee or potentially reworking the Finance Committee to include discussion of facilities?
I think that originally we had discussed about keeping it with finance, but there has been discussion at the board table about breaking out a separate third committee, which there had been in the past, 3 committees. So I can't say 100% exactly the direction, but I just wanted to put notice out there that it's something that I'd like to go further with.
Okay, thank you. And as I mentioned, I think last year at this time, about really reworking the Finance Committee to potentially cover facilities and that job description. So maybe you and I can talk, a little bit about both yours and mine, and anybody else is interested in those discussions. Okay, and of course, if anybody we can change our bylaws anytime throughout the year. So if something comes up, just let me know and we can add it to an agenda for discussion. Discussion of Board of Education member committee and liaison assignments. Ms. Brown gave us the 2020 assignments, which is at our seats at this meeting. We just review if any board members would like to change their assignments or express an interest in another assignment. I'm just going to ask that you email me within the next week and we can discuss possibly any changes. I do think it's important to note right now, and I'm sorry for not doing so before, Ms. Leeper, congratulations. She was elected to a state representative, so she'll be leaving us in the next few weeks to serve in a different capacity, but we are looking forward to working with you just in a different role. So her assignments right now, we will need to fill those. So if anybody's interested in the Finance Committee, RTM rep, those are some open positions. Discussion of the 2021 calendar. This was just a draft. One thing to note, the organizational meeting, November 23rd or the 30th, being that it's an election year, as of right now, we think that the town swearing-in ceremony is going to be on Monday, November 22nd. So we would have to have our organizational meeting either the 23rd or the 30th. Not really sure right now because Board of Finance also has to meet for their quarterly report. We weren't sure what that date was. We're trying to get some more information on that. But those are the 2 tentative dates for November. I would ask board members just to review the calendar. If anybody knows they have any conflicts with any of these dates right now, knows you're going to be out of town, just let me know and we can take a look at that. This has to move forward.
Mrs. Vitale?
Yes?
Just a question, and I don't know the answer to this. Is there a reason that we don't commit to the town hall dates ahead of time?
There's, not really a set reason. In the last couple of years, it has been somewhat driven by board discussion. If you recall, there's been some times when we've had it preset on the calendar. We've had town halls where really there wasn't anybody in attendance, and there were other times during the year based on what our agenda items were where the need was there to have a town hall. So we kind of scheduled it, one per quarter, one beginning in the fall and in the spring, and somewhat, based on need. We can definitely, if the board for scheduling purposes wants to set town hall dates now, we definitely, can do that during, right now being with the pandemic and our meeting schedule being somewhat up in the air in terms of how we're meeting, for the foreseeable future, didn't really think of setting a date. But if that's something the board wants to entertain, we can definitely do that. Feedback on that? Do you want to set the town hall dates now?
I wasn't thinking of doing it right now, but
just
throwing some things out there. I don't know. It was just, I was only wanting for the sake of committing it to the calendar for the public and for ourselves. But I hear your point about responding to needs, so just wanted to ask.
Yeah, and that really is, open to for board feedback on that. If for scheduling purposes for everybody with, life outside of the board, if it would be helpful to have dates set on the calendar, we can take a look at that and add it. And any other comments on the calendar? Okay, seeing none, motion to adjourn. Mrs. Gerber, second. Ms. Jacobson, all in favor? Okay, we are adjourned from our organizational meeting. Before we start